One thing that is quite a useful tip, there's not actually anything you can use to hold these in your OB to practice drawing. But in this video, I'm going to be talking all about the Cold Steel Tanto we have for sale at Enso Martial Arts. I'm going to be talking about all of its features, who would use this, and at the end, I'm going to put together a short montage of people doing sword practice. Hi, my name is Doug Swift. I've been doing martial arts for the past 33 years and I've been the owner of Enso Martial Arts for the past 16 years. If you're liking this video, click the little icon, subscribe to this channel and get all the latest videos and updates from Enso Martial Arts. So let's get into this video and learn all about the Cold Steel Tanto we have for sale at Enso. So Cold Steel is an American company that produces some really good, really solid, really tough training equipment for martial arts. Now a lot of their stuff has gone a bit far away from martial arts, so a lot of their stock we don't actually deal with. It's kind of like hunting stuff and things like that, and it's nothing that we have anything to do with really, but they do produce a small selection of martial arts training stuff and it's incredibly durable, really tough. It's all made out of this plastic like polypropylene, really durable. It's probably going to live for 10,000 years, something like that. So really good if you're fed up of breaking wooden weapons, doing sparring practice and whatnot, and you just want something really tough that you can go to town on. Now this is the type of weapon that you can actually hammer the hell out of it, because it will not break. It will dent a bit, but not really. So you'll be able to see that you've used it, but it's pretty much going to stay the same forever. Really good for martial arts practitioners. Now I'll show you the range of Cold Steel stuff that we've got a bit later on in the video, so hang around if you want to see that. But in this video I'm going to be talking about the Cold Steel Tanto Training Knife. Now Tantos for me, just because of my martial background, are something that we use for self-defense. So they're the wooden training knives, something like this, that we use for self-defense, and you practice knife defenses and things like that. Now that's what I would have always called a tanto, but actually it's kind of technically the wrong use of word. This is actually a tanto. So this is the tanto length, mimicking the third of the 3 Japanese swords that say a samurai will carry. So we have the bokken, which is the equivalent of the katana. We have like the shotos or the wakizashis, which are equivalent of the middle length sword, and these are a copy of the shorter sword, and I guess you could call it a dagger maybe, but the shorter sword that the samurai would carry would be a tanto, and this is the training equivalent. So the length's the same, and Cold Steel have done a really good job. They've mimicked the length and they've actually mimicked the weight. So they've done a really good job of getting the weight of the metal one. So if you ever were going to move onto a metal one to train with it, hopefully a nice blunt one, then you'll be very used to wielding that particular weight. So even though it is plastic, they have tried to mimic the weight of the swords. Now early on when these were available for Cold Steel, I didn't have these in the shop. I didn't really see the point. There's not that many classes nowadays that teaches like 3 swords and training with the 3 swords. It's not that common. So we had the bokken in. We've always had the bokken in as long as I can remember, but we didn't really stock the wakizashi or the tanto. Now we started getting them because people were requesting them. They wanted to get the set of 3, but also there are classes that are teaching these things. They want to practice sparring, and there isn't really anything you can go full pelt with that isn't really expensive. So this is a really good, relatively cheap way to be able to have a tanto and practice some sparring techniques with it. So usually it will be the sort of weapon in each hand, usually a bokken in one hand, and then you have a wakizashi or the Cold Steel Tanto in the other hand, and you can practice two weapon training drills. Like I say, it tends to be more the advanced people that are doing this kind of training, but a really good option if you want to do that training. And like I said, you will never buy another one of these unless if you lose it, because they're just so durable. So yeah, it's definitely a one-time buy and something that that you'll really enjoy training with, and, you know, like I said, moving on to the metal eventually. Now, one thing that is quite a useful tip, there's not actually anything you can use to hold these in your obi to practice drawing. But a top tip from us is that we do sell plastic saya. Now, these are for bokken, these are bokken length, but the wakizashi and the tanto from Cold Steel do fit. Now, they're not perfectly snug, so it will slide out, but usually the tantos are relatively upright, at least facing up rather than down in your obi. So this is quite a good option if you did want to practice drawing techniques. Now, obviously you don't want the full length of it, but you can cut them off. So for the wakizashi and the tantos, you can cut them off, so then you have got something to hold it in and be able to practice drawing that out. Really good tip, and it gives you an option for being able to practice drawing. So what styles would get you to buy a Cold Steel Tanto? So it will be the Kenjutsu guys and the EI guys. You know, there are clubs around that will teach this. Probably not the Kendo guys, although you might find a club that will sort of branch out and do a bit of this kind of training. But I do actually know a few ninjutsu clubs as well that will do a bit of training, and they would definitely do like two-hand sword training. It's not like a common thing, so you might not necessarily have to be able to pick and choose between styles. If someone's teaching it, I definitely recommend just going to that club and just learning what they have. So just having a look at dimensions now, we'll put all the dimensions of the Cold Steel Tanto on the website, but I'll just give you a few here so you've got a vague idea of exactly the dimensions of the Tanto. So they're around 45 centimeters, 17.5 inches in full length. In terms of the blade, you're looking around a foot or 30 centimeters. And having a look at the weight, this weighs in about 230 grams. So, you know, pretty lightweight, but pretty standard for a weapon this size. Now, another use for this sword could be used in self-defense. Now, if you're doing a lot of self-defense training, say with the wooden tanto or the rubber knives, you might want something slightly longer. Now, this would be a really good thing for a class, just to get people used to that extra length. You know, if you're doing these kidney stabs and people are always just blocking far too close to themselves, you can get something like this out of the bag, and it's really going to help people train keeping that distance with the knives. So yeah, something like this would be really good in the self-defense class, but you know, it's not necessarily standard. It just might be something if you see people getting their techniques a bit wrong and you want to adjust them a bit. So at Enso Martial Arts, we pride ourselves on having a wide range of martial arts equipment, especially like training bokken and related items. So as well as the Cold Steel Tanto, we also have the before mentioned plastic saya to practice drawing. We do foam bokken, which are really good for full-on sparring. A lot less chance of taking a really big knock. The very traditional red oak bokken, and we also do white and black of these two. We do the red oak shoto and the really heavy saburi bokken. Wow. So as mentioned at the beginning of the video, here is a short montage of people doing sparring practice with bokken, wakizashi and tanto. Thanks very much for watching. I hope it was useful. I hope you learned loads about the Cold Steel Tanto Training Knife we have for sale at Enso Martial Arts. If you like this video, click the little icon, subscribe to this channel and get all the latest videos and updates from Enso Martial Arts. Thanks very much, and I'll see you soon. Cheers!